Hi, my name's Adam, and I'm coming to you with a special report on the effect that the current COVID-19 pandemic is having on the music scene, particularly at a grassroots level. In this report, I'll be talking with two local musicians, Tori Shard and Darren Claxton, about how it's affected them and what help they've received, but most importantly, how they've managed to stay afloat. Nice of you to join us, Tori.
Yes,
How are
thanks.
you?
Really good, thank you. All things considered, yeah.
Now, one thing I wanted to ask you was, as a musician yourself, how has the current pandemic situation affected you as a musician?
Um, See, I've been one of the really lucky people, and for me, the way the world has just paused. That was really really good for me, and I'm one of those people that really work and really burn out, and it's given me such a good chance to stop, reflect, plan, figure out what my message is and how I can best put it into the world.
Financially, has it affected you at all in any way or form?
See, I'm self employed and I've managed to keep all of my work, so I am earning money. The only thing it has affected me is that I'd be playing covers gigs and wedding gigs at the weekend, and all of that money that I earn from music funds the music. So because I've not got that source of income, the music doesn't get funded in the way that I'd like it to. But again, I really can't complain because I'm still earning the same money that I was before the pandemic.
And so, as a musician, how has the lockdown process affected you at all?
Well, I mean, I'm a performer, so I'm always out gigging most weeks, and that's had a huge impact on me,
Hmm.
obviously financially and mental health wise as well, because it's really
Yeah.
put me into a really depressed state. I think last sort of as April, May, and June went on, it was just awful and frustrating, really. Coming because the weather was so lovely, and I'd usually be out doing gigs, and there'd be festivals going on and all this kind of thing. So it just put just a massive stop to everything for me and my fellow musicians, and performers. So that was a huge part of you know of my life then.
Okay.
But I found other ways. I found other ways to do it with the online streaming, which was a bit of a godsend actually.
The last year's been difficult for everyone, and for the people who work in music or the performing arts, it's been a particularly challenging time. I threw myself into the Nottingham music scene when I was first at university here, and it was only by playing around all these local venues that I came to meet people involved with bigger shows in the area. We have a brilliant scene here in Nottingham which is full of talented people. In the last year, venues and theatres have been closed down. People have understandably been worried about getting ill or infecting someone they care about by going to a show. I completely relate to this, as I would be terrified about infecting my mum or dad if I went out and played a gig on a Friday night and then came around to see them. We've been instructed by our government to retrain, which I think is a short-sighted approach, which neglects years of progression and development within the art form. It isn't just performers, but also all of the technicians and other professionals who work in the music scene who have been hit so hard. Nobody was expecting this to happen, and there will be some people who have been hit much harder than others. People already in steady jobs may have benefited from government furlough schemes, but for many creative people and artists, this has not provided much of a lifeline for them. People have got into live streaming, home studios are cropping up, and new songs are still being written.
I've been one of the lucky ones in terms of I've had a job working at Nottingham Central Library throughout this whole lockdown, and even when the libraries have been shut, they've still paid us fully, but we have had to do alternative things such as work for different departments of the council. So I've had a steady flow of money throughout this. However, I have noticed it dwindle a bit in terms of not having that extra income I'd have from performing the occasional cover gig, doing original gigs and selling my merch at them, and the money that I'd get from putting events on, such as the songwriter sessions that I do in Nottingham. I know it's affected a lot of my mates far more. The ones that are doing this full time, putting open mics on every single week, playing cover gigs most days of the week. This was their sole income, and because they're self-employed, the government's not helped them at all.
I've been Adam, and that has been your special report on COVID in the music scene.